Welcome to yet another and the last lecture in the course Social Innovation in Industry 4.0. I am Dr. Amandeep Singh. I am going to summarize the whole course in this lecture. So, we are just summarizing this course. We see that in the week 1 we try to understand why is social innovation necessary, where the introduction to social innovation was given, and as it is able to address the complex social problems and encourage collaborations, this was discussed in the week 1, and sources of social innovation and why it is a unique concept, this was discussed in second or third lecture of week 1, and the social innovation industry 4.0, what is the relation between them, why is industry 4.0, what is the potential of social innovation for industry 4.0, or what are the applications of social innovation, and understanding the social innovation in the context of industry 4.0, this was taken in week 1. In week 2 we started with use of social innovation in industry 4.0, that is challenges and ethical considerations were discussed here. The skill development and training nowadays required, provided the technological developments are there, the software skills are also required. Then inclusive growth and social welfare that were discussed here. Then the core elements and characteristics of social innovations, that is what are the core elements, the examples were given, initiatives, social entrepreneurship in industry 4.0 were discussed here. Then types of social innovations, that is we have socio-judicial, socio-cultural, socio-political, socio-economical, social organizational, different kinds of social innovations were there which were discussed in this lecture. And in week 2 also some light was shed on the sectors for the promotion of social innovations, different sectors such as the poverty, different sectors such as urban planning, poverty alleviation, civic engagement, art and culture, these were discussed. And processes for creating social innovations were also discussed in week 2, where different processes and the stages for them, which were maybe the observation stage to the systemic change, everything was discussed in the week 2. Then we came to week 3, where value creation from social innovation was discussed by Professor Ramkumar, that is impact and outcomes of social innovations, multiple dimensions of value in social innovations, because there are 3 values: economic value, social value and environment value. These were all discussed. Then value proposition, construction and development and validation, these were taken, that is key elements of all these factors were taken, and value proposition communication was also discussed. Then definitions of values generated by social innovations, that is different definitions taken from the different viewpoints, social, economic, environmental, institutional, different definitions were taken here. Then certain case studies were given regarding entrepreneurship and social innovation. In these case studies, the cases which characterizes different roles of social entrepreneur was also taken here. Then in the week 4, design for industry 4.0, that is the role of design in industry, design thinking, industry 4.0 design principles were taken. Then design for social innovation, that is trends and challenges in the design for social innovation, and the benefits of design thinking were discussed here. Then certain examples of the companies for the design for social innovations were given in week 4. Then in week 5, costing and finances were discussed. In costing and finances, the financial management principles for social innovation, cost analysis, classification of costs, budgeting, cost estimation in social innovation, cost estimation models, different kind of models which are available, which model to pick, then estimating research and data collection costs, everything was part of the cost estimation part here. Then different methodologies of cost estimation such as expert judgment, analogous estimate, parametric methods were there. In parametric there were 3-point estimate, then bottom up estimate, reserve analysis, these were all part of the cost estimation methodologies. Then financial planning and social impact assessment, which is an important kind of an assessment to understand the social impact and to also understand the costing of the system. This was discussed in week 5. Week 6 only majorly focused on the creativity tools and techniques. in creativity tools and techniques, different kinds of the thinking, that is creative thinking, divergent thinking, convergent thinking were discussed by Professor Ramkumar. Then certain divergent thinking techniques were there and certain tools of convergent thinking were there, such as SWOT analysis, decision metrics, these are all taken. Then digital innovation was shed some light upon, in which what is digital innovation, this was discussed and some examples of them were also taken. Week 7 was focused on the IPR, that is intellectual property rights, in which what is difference between patents, copyrights, this was given, the specifications of a patent, then IPR in social innovation, specifically in medtech, this was discussed here. The patent filing procedure was discussed. Within India, what is the procedure, what are the IPR strategies, internationally what are the trademarks and copyrights, these were all discussed in week 7. Week 8 discussed about design and social innovations in medical devices. Here medical devices regulations, the process of medical device development, the quality management systems, that is ISO 13485 and other management systems which were discussed. Then classification and regulatory processes, that is the ISO system which I just mentioned, were also discussed here, and the classification in the different parts of the world, majorly in Europe, in US and India, this was taken in this lecture in week 8. The last lecture of week 8 talked about the design and social innovation in agricultural machinery. In agricultural machinery, what are the different regulations, what are the principles and challenges, so what are the safety considerations, these were all discussed in week 8. Then week 9 talked about the recent industry 4.0 technology, that is the rapid prototyping, how to rapidly bring your product into the physical form or into a digital form, this was discussed in week 9. Then rapid prototyping techniques, different techniques for different kinds of the material, whether it is liquid material, whether it is solid material or whether it is in the powder form, this was discussed. Then 2 laboratory demonstrations were there. The first one was for the Metal X printer, in which the metal 3D printing part was taken care, and the second part was only about the software for the rapid prototyping, that was taken in week 9. The week 10 talked about the social innovation team and hierarchy, in which what should be the organization of the social innovation team, types of the team in social innovation, the key elements of effective team dynamics, team hierarchy, these parts were discussed here. Then foundations of organization culture here, that is symbolic interpretive and functional and postmodern systems were discussed here. Then the kinds of the foundations of the organization culture, such as clan, adhocracy, market, hierarchy and purpose, these were also taken in the week 10. The organizational culture in the context of social innovation, so what kinds of diversity and ethics are required in social innovation, this was taken in week 10. Week 11 talked about ESG, that is environmental, social and governance, where ESG frameworks, ESG raters and rankers and ESG standards were discussed. Different frameworks available at different parts of the world were discussed, and carbon credits were also talked about. Carbon credits challenges in India, these were taken here. Choosing the right framework, the steps to choose the framework, the analysis of the gap, then to fill the gap, then to take the action plans so as to develop the metrics as per the requirements, as per the mapping of our company's goal with the framework structure. This was taken in week 11. Week 12 talked about the social marketing. Social marketing, that why is marketing necessary in the social environment? It is first some history of social marketing, theoretical frameworks of social marketing, and 4 P's of social marketing, and the process of it is discussed in week 12. Then some examples are taken so as to solidify the concepts which have been understood in the overall course. Research methods in social marketing, in public health, in social causes, in the data and decision for social marketing, this is taken in week 12. With this course has covered majorly what was given in the syllabus of the course in the beginning. Though social innovation and industry 4.0 are different concepts, in the technology is definitely required to actually implement the social innovation targets that is set by the entrepreneur, that is set by the individual, that is set by the group who is working in this direction. Hope this course has enhanced your knowledge and you will be able to implement some of the concepts in your actual practices. Thank you.